Look at that for timing. Kristin dives in just as we go live. It's a special sixth sense. You're about to go live, in she comes. Perfect. Well, here we are, another week of Bill and Ammon's Bogus Hangout without Bill, with Ammon, with Kristin, and with a great panel of people as well. So we've got, finally, Anna Hoffman. I've been inviting every week, and finally, we've broken down her resistance. That's what it is. So hello, Anna.
I can't say no to you anymore. 3 times is a charm, as you said. Hi, everybody.
You'll recognise John Moore, who's joined us a couple of times before.
Hello, how you doing?
Kristin, you've dived in just into time there. I mean, that was perfect. Obviously, your telephone box is working, but your microphone isn't. Manolis, your first time joining us. Say hello.
Hello, everybody. It's a pleasure to be here, and thank you for allowing me to be on. And yeah, just happy to be in this bogus hangout.
Yes.
Another familiar face, Mark. Glad you can join us this week, and your internet seems to be playing ball.
It is. It allowed me to get in this week, and I'm wearing my bogus toga.
Excellent. That's what we like to see. So, what's become a tradition for kicking this off is simply to start off with what we've been doing for the last week. So, Anna, your first time joining us. What have you been up to this week?
Eating lots of good food, turkey wrapped in bacon, oh, so good. Drinking too much wine, and trying to stay on top of everything else, not working very well. It's Thanksgiving week in the States, you know, it's very hard to work, very hard to get up in the mornings, and yeah, that's pretty much was my week. Not much else going on.
Excellent. That's perfect way to spend the week. I must admit, by now, I would think that most people never want to hear the word turkey again. But at least it's wrapped in bacon.
See, mine was so good, I can't, I want some, but I had a guest who pretty much ate the whole 12-pound turkey, so I don't have any leftovers, so I kind of feel like I'm missing out.
Okay, that's a good thing. That's a good thing.
I think so.
I've spent years trying to work out, you know, all the things I can do with the leftovers, from, you know, turkey burritos through to turkey curry, and you've got to try and be creative, but my God, it gets difficult sometimes.
Absolutely. Jambalaya is my favorite. Oh, spice that thing up, throw some veggies in, some rice. It's so good. Shrimp wouldn't hurt either.
Excellent. That's what I like to hear. So, the rest of you, I know, Kristin, you're really vegetarian, aren't you? So no turkey.
No, it's actually the one day of the year. Is my microphone working now?
Yep.
Cool. Okay. It's actually the one day of the year that I let myself enjoy the tradition. But it's got to be dark meat.
Okay. We've got a question from the audience, which, I mean, it occurred to everyone here as well. Is that a real fire in the background, Anna?
Bogus? No, it's real. Yes, it's. Oh, let me move this way. It's very real. It's. I went to a winery a couple months ago, and they had those balls in the fireplace, and they were producing so much heat. I fell in love with that fireplace, so we converted our wood-burning fireplace, which in California, you know, we're very environmentally safe and aware, so we can't really burn wood as much as we want to. So, yep, that's very much real. It's very hot and cozy and toasty in here. And hi, Nazim. Nice to see you at this hangout.
Excellent. Oh, we got a that's not the most impressive recipe, is it? You know, just sticking it in an omelette. Come on. You can be more creative than that.
That sort of forms a picture that some of us might have seen after eating too much, but I'm not sure it was from an omelet. You know,
yeah, just throwing some carrots in there as well. Perfect. So, what difference has it been? I mean, you weren't born in the States, were you, Anna?
No, I was born in Russia. but I've lived in the United States for about 18 years now, so I sort of adopted a lot of traditions of this country, since in Russia we don't, as I was growing up during communist times, we didn't celebrate Christmas. We certainly don't celebrate Thanksgiving, even though my sister-in-law once did ask if we did. So nobody's laughing. Come on, it's pretty funny. Somebody thinks that we celebrate Thanksgiving in Russia. Come on. I know. So, you know, my husband is American, so he loves the traditional stuff. So it was, and it's about food and wine. I mean, how bad can it be? Of course, I fell right into it. So yes, now I love Thanksgiving. It's one of my favorite holidays of the year.
Did you bring any of your, you know, the traditional Russian holidays you'd grown up with you? I know a lot of people do like to keep their traditions of home as well. Did you bring any of those?
You know, good question. Not really. We love good food. That's about the only tradition. But I haven't really learned how to cook until I went to college. So I haven't grown up with those traditions of Russian cooking, which it really, I mean, if you think about it, it really comes down to meat and potatoes. So it's not too exciting, although it's really delicious because we use a lot of very natural ingredients. We don't put too many spices. We just kind of the way we cook food, it brings out the natural flavors, you know, salt and pepper, just about, and herbs. That's all that you need. So I do make some of the Russian dishes, but I really love to venture out as well. I cook all kinds of stuff. So, you know, my table is always very eclectic. We have all kinds of cooking going on here.
Well, you've got one of your fans in the audience here as well, Ivana. Oh my God, I totally love Anna Hoffman. She's my Slavic sister. So.
Oh, thank you.
So, Manolis, are there any, you know, how's Thanksgiving for you?
Thanksgiving for us, actually, we do actually celebrate the American Thanksgiving. I was born here. My parents were born in Greece. But we have some, you know, Greek specialties. My mom makes moussaka. She'll have some baklava for dessert. But for the most part, we have a turkey, a ham, and all your traditional, you know, American good old-fashioned cooking. So, yeah, we celebrate it just like everybody else.
Excellent, cool. So,
and actually, my cousin actually just married a young Russian lady as well. So, Anna, I can appreciate the Russian culture. I love it. It's a great culture.
Good. Thank you, Manolis.
So, do you keep any of the Greek traditions alive as well?
We do. More than half my family still lives in Greece, so I try to keep up my the Greek language. But I'll tell you, it's been actually since 2004 I haven't been in Greece. So when you don't use it a lot, you lose your natural language. So we keep the language alive. I'm an Orthodox Christian, so I have the religion piece of it. They're very into religion. And you know, celebrate. We celebrate Christmas and New Year's on the Gregorian calendar. So the calendar's a little bit different. We're on the Gregorian calendar for things. So we do have certain traditions, but you know, anything in America we celebrate, and then we also add the Greek stuff on top of it. So, you know, best of both worlds.
We do that in Russia as well. We celebrate Russian Orthodox Christmas, and then we celebrate American Christmas on top of that. So, you know, why not if you can, right?
Yeah, two for the price of one.
There you go. It's just more reason to celebrate. Opa!
Absolutely, opa. Let's break some plates on it right now.
Yeah, my main mixed heritage is just Scottish, so I don't really get any extras until New Year's, when I can celebrate English New Year's, and then I can drink for the Scottish New Year's as well. So excellent. That's the way I go for it.
Awesome.
Do you make haggis for it?
I love haggis, but it's not something I save particularly for that night. What I save for that night is some damn good scotch. That's the main thing. Never mind the food. That's just there to soak up some of the alcohol.
Whatever works.
Yes. So, Manolis, you're our other fresh guest this week. What have you been up to in the last week? What's been keeping you busy?
So I just signed a lease for a new office, my first office for Reality Crowd TV, so it's a big step for us. I won't have internet until this Friday, so I'm not in there yet. I'm actually back home. So we're working on that. Working on a few new things, trying to redesign a website, trying to add a social network to our business to really help people in a way that's really cost effective. So there's like 50 balls in the air when you have a company and you're just trying to keep the ship moving. So basically just keeping real easy with all those things.
Yeah, that's always a tricky thing. I know Mark's just moved into a new office recently, so you must have just really started to really feel settled in by now, Mark.
Yeah, this is starting to feel like home. I still, as you probably can hear, I still haven't solved the echo problem of these beautiful but very high ceilings in here. I need to hang up some tapestries or linens on the. If anybody has an old castle with medieval tapestries hanging around that you're not using, I'd be glad to take those off your hands. But
I've got a few laying around.
I knew you would. I knew you would, Anna. So.
Of all people, of course.
with that very castle-looking fire behind you there, you kind of almost have to have them.
I mean, look at this tapestry. Speaking of tapestries, I've got walls pasted with them. I don't know what to do with tapestries anymore. It used to be one of our obsessions in Europe when we lived in Germany. So, yeah, we're all tapestried out.
Has anybody noticed that her outfit matches her wall colors too? I mean, how coordinated can you get?
That's true. I didn't even think about it. I'm so coordinated.
We may be getting a glimpse into one of Anna's favourite colours. We might be just getting a hint of that.
Well, of course, with Ammon's background, he can wear anything and it matches at some second.
That's always my way. So, Nazim is suggesting egg crates. I'll tell you what does work is something Dennis has been doing. He slung across some blankets high up, and there's just some junk old clothes or rags or almost anything on that, and just having that soft stuff up high takes the sound away.
I'm sure it would, but I'm not sure that they would allow me to do that here. So, unless I could there's kind of a cool hippie vibe. It's a startup place, Maybe I can convince them it's some kind of really cool. It's everybody in Brooklyn in the village doing this.
Well, what you do is you tell them you're putting up a hammock, because that's cool, right? And then you just put loads of clothes and stuff on the hammock, and that absorbs the sound.
I know I'm still overweight, but I don't know if I can convince anybody that I need that big a hammock.
Go on, man. Let's ask.
Is the space that you're in, Mark? Is that a co-working space? Is it an incubator or an accelerator? What is it exactly?
That's an interesting question. It sort of is. It's not a formal one. It's a very interesting kind of situation. There's a guy named Henry Copeland here in Durham who's kind of a serial entrepreneur. He runs a number of companies, a company called Blog Ads, and a company called Pressflex. He's developed a number of really cool apps, and he's just a very cool, very interesting guy. So what he does, he has this space. It's the whole second floor of a 1930s department store, what once was here in Durham. Beautiful Art Deco building. He has a whole second floor, but he only uses part of it. And basically, if somebody likes somebody, they interest him, he wants to have them around his other people, he invites them to have an office space there. So we've got several really cool startups. We've got some independent people like me. So it's a cool mix, and you get the advantage of having an office, and we also get to interact some for those of us who are distance workers like me.
That's great. I mean, I don't have the exact location where I got this information from, but I hear that in 20 years the majority of people are going to be self-employed, and I think those type of spaces are going to continue to be really in demand. It seems like everyone's trying to get more self-employed, more entrepreneurial. So it's I'm always curious to see that type of environment because it's such a place where you can network with multiple people.
Yeah, Durham's a relatively small city, and it's just added, I think, its 4th co-working space, and that's not even counting this space, which, as I said, is kind of unofficial. And we have 2 major startup incubators here as well. So yeah, it's definitely a trend.
Awesome.
Well, I've got to pick on Heart GA here. Scotch, the only way you can love haggis. No, no, no. Haggis actually goes really well with a full English breakfast, or rather, the full Scottish breakfast. A little bit of haggis, a little bit of sausage, maybe a little bit of smoked salmon even. It's nice stuff. If you haven't had a good fresh haggis, though, you've not had real haggis. It's just sausage meat with barley in it, really, these days.
Aren't you supposed to like bury it for 3 days or something like that? How could it be fresh?
No, that's cheese. And Ivana says, notice, my father is a Serbian Orthodox priest, so I totally get it. And an American husband says he didn't need to see My Big Fat Greek Wedding, he was living it.
I actually meant to ask about it. How true is that movie to the Greek culture?
So, of course, in order for any movie to get a lot of traction, it needs to be embellished a little bit. So there is a little bit of embellishment, but there is a lot of that going on. I mean, my grandmother wore all black for 50 years after her husband died. It's a show of respect in the Greek culture. So we did have a grandmother. My grandmother actually did that, and she wasn't crazy, but she could only speak Greek, so it was it was kind of that feeling. So, but obviously now, with U.S. being what it is, it's a melting pot. So everyone who stays in the U.S. becomes more American, and that's a good thing in my opinion. But for the most part, that movie is pretty accurate, with a little bit of extra embellishment.
You've got to. I wonder how many people tried Windex after they watched that movie, because I'm tempted.
Yeah, I never did, but it was a great little anecdote they had. They have there are certain things with the Greek culture though, and maybe in the Russian culture too, and Ivana might want to chime in, but they have something called like the evil eye or the mati, where you might out of nowhere start feeling sick, and the Greek culture says that somebody gave you the evil eye, and when they give you the evil eye, there's this little old school method of getting rid of it. So that someone takes a little piece of oil, they drop it in a coffee cup filled with water. When the oil drops in, if it sinks to the bottom, that means someone has given you the evil eye, because for the most part, oil floats on water. But when you do this little religious prayer, whatever it is, it sinks to the bottom, and then you have to say this other prayer, do the cross on the person's head, and suddenly you're almost miraculously cured within like 5 minutes. It's such a weird thing, but every time my mom used to do it to me when I felt sick, within like 30 minutes I was like cured. So it's pretty cool.
So that explains it. It seems like I have a permanent evil eye on me. Something is wrong with me all the time.
Well, I don't see why you're such a nice person, so I'm going to say a prayer for you.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate it. It was meant more like a joke because, I mean, cultures are so incredible, aren't they? Like, for instance, I have a cat, and a lot of my husband's family think that cats are evil and they're going to climb up and jump on you, and I mean just the whole slew of old wives' tales. Completely intelligent, reasonable people have completely unintelligent, unreasonable superstitions. Go figure, right?
Yeah, yeah. Some people think cats actually like them, and everyone knows cats like cats. They tolerate the rest of you because you feed them.
That's scientifically verified. Cats do not like us.
Yeah.
Speak for yourself, Mark. My cat loves me.
Like you said, we all have our irrational beliefs.
Ha 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 ha.
Yeah. My cat only tolerates me and doesn't tolerate anybody else. So he's very skittish, and if somebody comes to visit to the house, he's gone. I mean, totally disappeared. So everybody who ever comes to our place never believes me that we have a cat, because they never see the cat. He's totally invisible unless everybody's gone, and then he comes out and sits on the couch with me and sits on my desk here. You've seen pictures of him watching Stone Temple events. He loves to watch events that are on the screen, and and watch things happening on the screen. But he won't be around anybody but me, pretty much.
Yeah,
So-
John's famous in his local community. There's that guy who keeps pretending he's got a cat. I've been there, he hasn't.
I know, nobody believes it. It's they see the litter box and the bowl of food, but they think I'm faking
They think
it.
you're mistreating your wife. They think poor Marilyn is being mistreated.
Yeah. Good luck with that.
Yeah. Marilyn has like one of the brightest countenances of anybody. I don't think anyone would buy that she's being mistreated.
I think
No.
one of the reasons that I loved Red Dwarf is they got the cat so right. I don't know if you've ever seen that comedy show from the UK, Red Dwarf,
Love
sci-fi
it,
show.
love it, love it.
The cat is fantastic.
No, I haven't seen that.
And wasn't it just called Cat?
Yeah. The idea is that there is a terrible accident on this mining ship. Radiation poisons most of the crew, except for one guy who is being punished by being put into suspended animation. Because he's in suspended animation, the equivalent of, being in prison, so that he doesn't get paid and doesn't have to be fed and doesn't have to have all the rest of it, he survives. But it's now a few million years later, and one of the first creatures he meets is the evolutionary descendant of his pet cat, which is what he got stuck in the brig for anyway, was bringing an animal aboard the ship without permission. But yeah, human guy playing the cat, fantastic, but the personality of it is just superb. The pimp suits and outfits all the time. How am I looking? Looking good. He's just got the mirror with him
he's
all the time.
really into himself. Yeah, best episode ever of that, when they got back to Earth and everything was backwards. The entire episode was played backwards, but they didn't do it with backwards film. They acted it backwards. It was incredible.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a fantastic series. Gave us a whole new set of words. Smeg, for instance, really, really caught on, and it's funny watching these guys at the conventions when they're asked, what does smeg mean? And they just crease up. So that's all I'll say for now. You can find it on YouTube. There's clips on YouTube. Look it up. Red Dwarf, fantastic, fantastic series.
Geeks.
Yes, but it's kind of like, okay, you've seen Star Trek, you've seen Star Wars. Now let's take a humorous curmudgeon's look at what space travel might actually be like and what might actually happen in some of these situations, especially time loops, event horizons. They throw some real science ideas in, but then play with it like crazy.
I think when you say might actually happen, that's an oxymoron right there.
Yeah, hey Nazim.
Hi, everybody.
Hi, Nazim, how are you?
Hi, Anna. Thanks for the shout out. Hi, Mark. Hi, Kirsten.
Hey, Nazim. Good to see you.
Same here, same here. Let me try to get the light situation a little bit better. Here we go. That might be better.
Yeah, there's the name. Dave's thrown it in for us. Danny John Jules. He is a superb actor, and he was so well cast in that. Fantastic.
I could talk British television comedies all day.
Me too.
Well, somebody better talk about something because, the awkward silence, nobody likes that. Pick up the slack, boys, come on.
Well, let me bring up a subject. Christmas plans, everybody, what are people going to do? Travel, staying at home? That's a good topic.
Well, I'm in the UK. Our Christmas is our Thanksgiving and Christmas all rolled up into one. We don't have that whole thing a week early. But everything you do at Thanksgiving and everything you do at Christmas, we do in that week.
Right.
So for us, Christmas is a week.
It's a condensed.
Yeah.
Eat haggis and drink scotch. We got it.
Well, that's New Year. That's New Year. That's at the end of it.
Yeah.
But, our Christmas, we've got the turkey and all the trimmings. It's the one time of year when most people will eat Brussels sprouts. It doesn't seem like they exist the rest of the year. Nobody wants to eat those damn things. But suddenly Christmas comes along, everyone wants them. There can be rushes at the supermarkets on Brussels sprouts for
Really?
who knows why. Tradition. It is a tradition. Yeah, we've traditionally got the turkey and maybe a couple of other meats as well. The kids, of course, every parent understands that Christmas Eve is a bit of a nightmare, as the kids don't want to go to sleep because they're listening out for Santa, or if they're not, they still can't sleep anyway because they know by now you must have put the presents under the tree, and they can't wait for morning and to rush down and open everything. And yeah, Christmas Day itself, that's the usual thing. Day along of eating, drinking, meeting with family, swapping presents, saying thank you, and maybe watching the Queen's speech, which is one of the highlights on TV, but there'll always be a few Christmas special TV shows. And then the rest of the week trying to recover from it, drinking far too much, and preparing one's liver for the absolute hell you're going to give it on New Year's.
Let me ask you a question. I'm curious, what is Boxing Day? Because I keep hearing this Boxing Day. And what is it specifically? With a tradition, what is it? It's a traditional holiday, I think, right?
It's the day after Christmas.
It's the day after Christmas. Okay.
There are a few different stories of where Boxing Day gets its name.
Okay.
For some, that was the day of... There's a thing that's traditional here called a Christmas box. And this is people who serve you, people who are in service industries, refuse collectors and things like that. You'd save a bit of money and you'd give them an envelope with a tip, basically, at the end of the year, which was their Christmas box.
Okay. And
a lot of people say that this was the day where the servants got their Christmas boxes, and that's where the term Christmas.
That's where the term comes from. Interesting. Very interesting. Boxing Day, yeah, because Aslan was mentioning, because we're gonna do something on Boxing Day. I'm like, and I didn't dare ask her, and so okay, it must be a day, it must be something with boxing, and I said no, it doesn't make sense.
So does this comment from Denver have anything to do with it? I'm going to Christmas shop at a local rag store where all profits go to help teens in trouble, saying no to big box retail this year.
Yeah, I like that.
Good.
I think it's a different kind of box, but yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't sure.
You know what a big box store is like a chain store, like Walmart or something like that.
Oh, okay.
Talking about going back to Thanksgiving, and I got to bring this up. I saw some footage, John, from London, from England, about Black Friday, which is something that is traditionally American. And in fact, I called the Apple people because I was thinking of buying I bought a computer on Friday, and I thought maybe I can get a Black Friday. And said, no Black Friday in Italy, sorry, But in England, I noticed that this year it's starting to take its certain momentum, this Black Friday phenomena.
Yeah, I heard that too.
And then I saw the footage of people just arguing, give me, I want that box back. More power to online shopping at this point sometimes, right?
Yeah, top marks to Lon McClure here. He's of course spotted that the traditional bird for Christmas is of course the goose. It was indeed.
There you go.
Fowl for Christmas.
That is a bad mix. Gin and Black Friday shoppers together.
Unless you're shopping.
Good.
Do you know what? I really dislike the idea of the carnage every year. Let's face it. What should be happening is that the powers that be should just step in and say, look, we understand. People are excited. You are building up the thing of your sale. You're encouraging people to go absolutely mad. So it's your job as a shop to provide enough security to make sure everybody is safe. Any accident that happens on Black Friday because you've set up a sale and you couldn't be bothered to put some of that preparation, some of that profit into employing enough staff to maintain safety, your shop is responsible, you will pay compensation. That would fix an awful lot of it, wouldn't it?
I think you're right.
Eventually there will only be a Cyber Monday. I think. Wait a long enough time, there will only be a Cyber Monday.
That would be probably much better for all of us. But I'm not a Black Friday shopper myself, but I'm kind of surprised, boys, that you don't like it, at least in theory, more than you do. Because if you think about it, it's all about hunting. You know, you have that hunting instinct, where to find the best deals, and you know how to get there first. And it's like, you know, you're laying there in the bushes with a gun waiting for a deer, and instead you're camping out in a tent in front of the store waiting for your bargain, kind of thing. So I think there are a lot of parallels with hunting here. I would think that you should like it more than that.
Yeah, there's a gamification element. We actually covered this on a Code Breakers show recently, where we break down what makes things, you know, what makes things go viral, what makes things catch on, and we're pointing out the gamification elements, that you've got this you've got the whole camping thing, which is almost a stamina endurance test. You know, can you stay out longer than everyone else to have a spot near the doors? You've got the race for the doors to be the first one in, so you've got the speed test, and of course you've got the domination and knowing which shops to go to for the kind of strategy games. But where you're going wrong, Anna, is men hunt in a different way. We hunt the rest of the year when we're looking for who's the prettiest shop assistant. On Black Friday, it's too crowded to do any of the kind of hunting that men like to do.
Oh,
so,
I see.
you know, this is a nest building hunting.
Okay.
So you end up doing it more online than physically going to a brick and mortar store.
Yeah. Hunting is like fishing or even surfing and waiting for the big wave. A bad day of fishing, they say, is better than any day doing anything else, you know, because it's not whether you catch a fish or catch the deer or even pull the trigger. It's that you're out there, you know, doing your thing with the gang, you know, and so you're confusing hunting with actually catching something. That's not the point.
So getting away.
The point is that
wife and kids,
getting away.
Responsibilities. That's
Yeah, it's getting away. That's the point, right? The hunting is just an excuse.
If you look at it, you know, fishing is the perfect example, isn't it? It's the least efficient means to get a meal ever. You know, I'm always taken with Crocodile Dundee's version in the movie, where he's just throwing the dynamite in the river.
Not if you're a bear, you just go in there.
Yeah, that actually makes more sense than the way a lot of men do fishing, which is, you know, all the equipment, the stall, the stands, the pack of beer. Let's face it, that's not helping the efficiency.
That's a key priority.
Yeah, but it's all about. Yeah, it's all about the gear, though, too. The gear is a big thing. Like, I go kayaking every Thursday evening, and people will walk by us as we're getting ready, and we spend probably an hour getting ready to go out, and we only paddle for maybe an hour and a half, and then we come back and spend another hour putting it all away. So, you know, we spend like 3-4 hours doing this, but we only are paddling maybe an hour and a half or so. And people always scratch their heads because we've got all this equipment, and that's part of the game. It's all the gear and the radios and the you know, just it's everything. It's the whole shtick of putting all this stuff together and then putting it all away real nicely and cleaning it. And so yeah, it's really complicated, and the actual fishing doesn't have a lot to do with it.
Men never grow out of playing dress up, do they? Ever. You know, because our day-to-day, we don't tend to do it as much. We don't have the hair and makeup routines that a lot of people do. Well, I've known a few men who are very fussy about their appearance and maybe do, but most of us, no, we kind of slap things together and we're good to go. But comes to any kind of adventure, you know, even as simple as a bit of house DIY stuff around the house. Right, I've got to get my tool belt and my drill holster, and you know, the next thing you know, they're dressed as a cowboy in a hard hat to put up one painting. You know.
Yeah, you should see my son and I when we do chainsawing. We have the chainsaw chaps and the helmet with the earmuffs and the face gear and the big gloves and the, oh man, we look like we're really serious doing serious stuff. So yeah, that's part of the fun.
Denver's throwing in a story for the one that got away. So another traditional part of fishing. We can always tell the story of the one we did or the one that we didn't.
Definitely. See, my husband is working from home today, so I can't speak too loudly, but I'm going to say that in my household, I'm the one up there doing the electrical while he's standing downstairs, down below, giving me the tools. So I'm the one with the tool belt, and
It's
I
the
love it
same.
that way.
I'll confess it's the same in our house. My wife is the handy one. She is right now, as we speak right now, ripping out our entire kitchen, which she's threatened to do for 6 years. And she's got the plumbing out, she's got the electrical out. She's going to be doing that with some help from my son-in-law. But yeah, I'm useless in that regard. She'd probably say I'm useless in a lot of regards, but at least in that regard.
I second you on that, Mark. I'm here in the house. My wife's the one that's like, and I'm like, it's the weekend, sweetie. I gotta relax. You do your thing. If you need any help, just.
It's like but the sense of accomplishment, like the 2 or 3 times in my life I actually have been handy. We have a shed in the backyard, and it needed a new door. The door just totally fallen apart, and I found out it was an odd size, and you couldn't just buy a door, which I desperately wanted to do. So I bought wood. I got out the saw. I built a door and hung it on there, and
Wow.
It was the most tremendous. Probably prouder of that than any blog post I've ever written.
So
It's a year later, it's still there.
And it begs the question, so why don't you do it more often if it felt so good?
Because it took me about 18 hours to get to that kind of feeling or something that my son-in-law and my wife probably could have done in 2.
Yeah, my opinion is let the pros go ahead.
Right.
See, almost all the shelving in the house, most of the units and things like that, I do all of those.
Oh, yeah. I can tell that you're the guy with the whole thing that, let's get ready to go and everything's perfect and,
No, I just like designing stuff. I just like building units and shelving, and I started off with doing my kids' rooms years and years ago, and there's something nice about a custom piece of furniture that doesn't exist anywhere else because you've built it.
That's a good point, yeah. As opposed to going to IKEA and having it,
Well, you still have to work for it if you buy it at IKEA, and nothing is easy when you do that.
I know. That's a good point. There's always that piece missing. There's always that bulb missing. It's like...
They do it on purpose. You have to go back to get the other part.
I know. It is a marketing. You're right. It is a marketing thing in the sense that, are you sure this whole set, is there something missing? And then you call up, once in a blue moon, you call up and you're like, oh, in the first days of IKEA in Italy was like that. Now I think they're pretty much organized.
And then, of course, what happens when you're done, you have a bunch of things left over, and you wonder, what didn't I do? What didn't I screw together to put it together, huh? Happens all the time.
So true, so true.
But I forgive IKEA for many, many things because of 2 words: Swedish meatballs.
Yes, they are the best. They are the best.
Yeah, I think we're all fans. I must admit, I'm not a big fan of IKEA's furniture. It's okay, but it's usually a bit bland. And I don't know, maybe it's different. Maybe it is for the Swedish style of architecture. Big open rooms, bare wooden floors. That's not your traditional English kind of house. Triumph.
Now, you know what happens? I think I agree with you in the sense that all of a sudden you start going to certain houses and you walk in and it's like, okay, they all start looking the same. This is kind of like the IKEA look, and it's kind of like when people start wearing the same type of clothes all the time. You kind of like, okay, a little bit of originality went out the door.
I got to tell you this. I got to tell you this story very quickly. My younger daughter was enamored with IKEA for a while, and she did her entire living room. I mean, the entire thing, even the paintings on the wall, the art, everything was IKEA from top to bottom. So I couldn't resist. Like the first time I was over there visiting, I went in the other room, I made a sign, and I hung it, I taped it up on the wall, and it said, "All this for $699."
I gotta tell you that
it looked exactly like one of their little demo rooms. Exactly. She basically recreated it.
I gotta tell you that hats off, because their formula is like, I've never been to an IKEA here in Italy that's empty. They're like jam-packed. The parking lot is full. Constantly, constantly, constantly.
But see, Mark had a very good point. He didn't say he likes IKEA furniture. He said he likes IKEA Swedish meatballs, and that's, I agree with you, Mark, the best thing about the store. I could care less about anything else.
Let's go have lunch.
I was very, very, very disappointed the last time we went because the meatball platter, at least at the IKEA we went to, no longer includes the lingonberries. And it was just like, that was for me, it was like there's something between, it was like a sweet and sour thing between the Swedish meatball sauce and the lingonberries. I don't even know what a lingonberry is. I don't think I ever ate one, but I was really disappointed they took that out.
Loganberry, I know. I don't know Loganberry.
Oh, Loganberries, whatever. Yeah, I made up my own. I don't know what a Loganberry is either, so you know, whatever.
Oh, that's quite a nice one. But it's one of those ones. There's so many fruits that we don't eat anymore that our parents, grandparents' generations absolutely did. I mean, over here, gooseberries used to be an absolute classic. You used to have gooseberries a lot. Now, almost nothing has gooseberry at all. It's all cherries, apples, orange, the same fruit you'll get anywhere. And I kind of miss some of that tradition.
Gooseberries make the best jam. Oh, so good.
Is that is that a sauce that you also put on the Sunday roast? Is that something that you can add on with the mint and that sort of berry and the sauce?
I just Googled it. I was right. Well, I was sort of right. It's not lingonberry. It's lingonberry. Lingon.
Oh.
It exists, but it's not loganberry. It's lingonberry.
Oh. Okay, new one on me.
Yeah.
I noticed what you said, and you make it your own. That's what you're supposed to do, right? You can make it whatever you want.
I think I combine lingon and loganberries.
I went to a wonderful Italian restaurant.
I just started growing loganberries.
Seriously?
Yeah, I just started growing some loganberries.
Oh, so you know what they are?
Yeah, there really are loganberries. It's a cross between a raspberry and a blackberry, and it's very raspberry-like. Yeah, and it's very sweet, very sweet. And one of the reasons I think it's not popular is because it falls apart very quickly. I mean, you can't ship it. You have to pick it and eat it, pretty much. It makes a great jam, though, because it falls apart really quickly.
It's very good for sauces and jams and stuff like that. Where
it falls apart really quick, right.
It supposedly goes very, very well with pork.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, I've just started growing, and I bought one plant, and now we've been healing it in, and now I think we have about 10 plants going. We're eventually going to have about probably about 30 feet of them in a row. Once we get through, we grow them, and then we heal them in, and then they root, and then we cut them, and then we just sort of hopscotch down the row, starting with one plant. We're about a third of the way down.
What are you going to do with the fruit? Are you going to make jam and stuff, or?
Jams, yeah, jams.
Excellent.
I do a lot of canning. I do boysenberry jam, strawberry preserves, peach preserves, and now I'm going to have loganberry preserves.
Wow.
So.
The best one I came across, for fruits I didn't know. There was this Italian restaurant in Hove, which is the other part of Brighton and Hove. And Hove is one of these places, sometimes people think it's a little bit pretentious. They all call it Hove actually. Because anytime you ask somebody, are you from Brighton? Oh, Hove actually. So Hove actually became its name. There is a restaurant there. And they did this wonderful chocolate souffle with a liquid chocolate sauce in it. And it's fantastic. But there were these strange little fruit with them. And it was kind of a little bit strawberry and a little bit kiwi. And what are these? He said, oh, I'm not going to tell you. What do you mean you're not going to tell me? The name, it makes some people laugh a lot. So, of course, now I have to know what it is. And it turns out he slightly mispronounces it. The name of the fruit, if I remember rightly, is Sylophus. But he mispronounced it as syphilis. So a plate full of chocolate souffle and syphilis, yeah, you can understand why people were laughing a lot when he was introducing these things. But if you do find those fruit around, they are absolutely fantastic with anything like chocolate. When you've got something rich and you want a clean taste to cut through, perfect. So there you go, syphilis with chocolate.
Well, makes it for a great story, that's for sure. Maybe he mispronounced it on purpose. Look at you, you're still talking about it.
He was so reluctant. He honestly had told people in the past and just had them just react. But yeah, it did make it memorable. We were in fits. We've got a semi-serious question here, and just out of shock alone, I have to bring it up. So, I said, guys, today, Stephen Hawking said something like, artificial intelligence could end mankind. Let's face it, human intelligence could end mankind. I think out of shock, if nothing else.
Yeah.
On the other hand, I was joking today with Dennis Juice. He didn't get the first time. Maybe it was a bogus joke. So if a human being can't grasp my jokes, do you think future robots and androids will try to exterminate us every time I say something funny? I do think that in a world with artificial intelligence, we are going to have to be a lot more careful about things like humour. That, you know, things could be taken very, very seriously. It's one of the things, I think, artificial intelligence, we know it's there when it can understand our jokes. Isn't that one of actually the best tests for artificial intelligence?
I think that's the key. I mean, they always say that's when you are truly fluent in a language, when you can begin to understand the jokes, you understand the humor in the language. That will definitely be a leap, a barrier. And until then, when we start to approach it, that is going to be a problem. They often portray that, as you think about it, in Star Trek with the Next Generation with Data. Data that's the hardest thing for him. He struggled with being too literal, and people always had to explain the joke to him.
You know,
Yes.
You know what? I actually won the superlative in school. It's not something I'm proud of, but I was the most gullible in school. So that's why I took some of Anna's comments literally. So artificial intelligence will need to actually have a gullibility scale that you could put in gullibility mode, so that people aren't taken literally for different people. Because, you know, a lot of times, you know, you are dealing with people who are literally very gullible, because I tend to trust first until proven otherwise, but I've gotten better at being more careful, obviously.
Yeah, it's like the old joke. They've removed gullible from the dictionary, you know, and then somebody goes and looks to see if gullible has been removed from the dictionary.
Yeah, as if, even if they had, it would mean they've come round to his dictionary and taken it out, rather than the one that's printed today won't have it. I mean, there is a double level of joke there.
Oh man.
We do understand this, you know. If people don't, if the intelligence hasn't quite got the humour yet, is it really there? Because that's how us English feel about, you know, sarcasm, and the way some Americans react to English sarcasm, because we're very good at deadpan, and it does take some of you in.
I actually think that if artificial intelligence gets too smart, there will be a rebellion where the technology will not excel to a level where people are just going to be losing jobs left and right. Because if you create artificial intelligence that can replace anyone's job, which technically, if technology keeps advancing at the rate that it is, one day that could be possible. I think for the greater good of society, people will just say, no, we cannot advance anymore in that, because we're not at a place yet to support all the people who will not be able to support themselves because of the intelligence. So I personally think there needs to be a limit eventually if society has not caught up to the advancements and there's other ways to earn an income other than that. So that's my opinion.
It's something we did discuss before. I saw an interesting article, and a couple of people had shared it on G Plus the other day, which was saying about how that needs to be the fundamental shift, that we've always had this scarcity-based economy, that everything is based on scarcity, and what we need is to actually change to the level where we expect unemployment, where we welcome unemployment, where our society isn't dependent on everyone having a job, and we don't feel like we're carrying the unemployed, but that technology is carrying us all, and some of us choose to work, and some of us choose to instead try and contribute more ideas, more positivity, more humour, more, you know, that it should be contribution based to society rather than whether we've got the rare thing or whether it's, you know, work in a traditional sense. That the person who makes lots of people feel good is just as important to society as the one who provides their bread.
I like that. I like that. Very good. I like that. I like what you just said.
And the rest of us will just bogusly hang out on Google+.
Yeah, I must admit, you know, it's a fascinating thing to explore, but you know, my feeling is that history doesn't kind of favour that, and there's still a lot of things. You know, the more of something there is, the more we narrow down what the valuable thing is. You know, we need that sense of scarcity. There are parts of the world where just women are a scarcity. And then you get to a place where the women outnumber the men, and the men have just got fussier about, you know, what level of woman you should have, and there's still that 1% that they want. You know, I think we invent our own scarcity.
Ammon, can you tell me where that is? Because I'm going to go there.
Well, I think Alaska's still got more women than men, but it narrowed a bit, didn't it?
Right.
Or is Alaska the opposite? Less women. They've got more choice. I can never remember which now.
I'd say I have a great story. I just learned about it very recently, but you know, being somewhat of a recipient of it, I like it. So during the Second World War, so I grew up in a small town south of Moscow, and Hitler was just stopped at my hometown as they were moving forward toward Moscow. And so I met this man at the airport, and he asked me where I was from. I told him my small town, and he's like, wow, the most beautiful women in Russia live there. I'm like, why would... You know, why? And he said, because during the Second World War, there was so much fighting there that the men were killed off in that area. So now you have very few men left and a lot of women. And men had their pick of anyone they could. So natural selection, obviously, the most beautiful women. I like this story. I'll stick with the story. But it makes sense, right? In certain parts of the world, it just so happens that, you know, human element comes in and the natural selection happens.
What I love is how cultural beauty itself can be. And it's one of the things I dislike so much about the centralization of, you know, Hollywood and Bollywood and Nollywood. You've now got only 3 versions of ideals. With Hollywood being, you know, the absolute strongest one, because previously this thing, you know, the beautiful, skinny, Barbie doll kind of woman was only an American thing. In other parts of the world, true beauty was a woman who looked like she'd eaten well. And in other parts of the world, you know, the attractive, successful man was the one who showed he could eat well. You know, Buddha was an attractive figure. He's a figure of prosperity and wealth, and that was attractive. And it does worry me that we've become homogenized in sometimes the lowest common denominator instead of all trying to raise up to the best one.
Very good point. I was growing up with my best friend, was much more voluptuous than I was, and I always felt like an ugly duckling because men just... You know, they were like bees, like around honey around her, and so I completely understand what you mean. You know, when you don't have those constant images in front of you, we all select a lot of personality, much more so than a physical body type, right?
Yeah,
so
I love this one.
Times.
Five of the cutest. I like that.
It is what it is, right? I mean, it makes sense.
Personally, I must admit, and I'm sure there's several people in the audience would like me to ask this, Anna, whoever it is that makes you feel unattractive, can we have their number? Because
well, but, you know, again, it goes to show that culturally, I did not know that I was. Okay, this might sound completely wrong, but I'm just going to say it. I didn't know that I was pretty in any way until I moved to the United States. I was 21. In Russia, I was an ordinary person. I never felt anything special. And then all of a sudden, when I came here to this country, everybody started asking me, you know, if I've ever modeled, then maybe I should, and all of that. So that made me self-aware of my physical appearance more so than, you know, what college did you go to? Let's talk about something interesting. So the difference between the two cultures was really very phenomenally apparent to me.
Yeah.
So,
my takeaway for today might be that I might be pretty in Russia. I might be.
It could be. Don't forget, you know, the obligatory aftershave, bit of vodka.
Mark, you have to cheer up, though. I mean, I'm telling you, I've been watching you the show, and it's like the second I can make you laugh, you just make my day. You need to cheer up a little bit, then you'll fit in much better in Russia, because in Russia, we're all about personalities, trust me.
Right, but isn't everybody kind of somber and depressed in Russia? That's what we've always been told.
I mean, look at me. I'm Russian. This is how we are. Of course, you know, Ammon was saying that the European sense of humor is a little more sarcastic and whatnot. And in America, they say, oh, that girl with the dry Russian humor. To me, this kind of humor is the best. Right? So Ammon and I can joke all we want, and nobody else will get us. And that's okay.
Yeah, and Russian humor can be brutal. It can be so blunt. It's fantastic. There are parts of Russian humor that I think would make most Americans blush, because it almost does that to the Brits, and we're used to the Australians. You know, the Australians have this really earthy humor as well that's fantastic. I think sometimes, you know, there's I don't know whether there's the impact of the Bible Belt or what, but there just seems to be that bit more political correctness generally in America.
Agreed. Yeah, we're way too sensitive, and you know what? Like, to a certain extent, I think political correctness is needed in some cases, but it's gotten to a point now where you almost can't say anything. It's almost the freedom of speech is being breached because it's gone too far to the political correctness end of the spectrum, and people are way too sensitive on certain comments. They immediately take their insecurities and frame of reference of their life experience on any comment that is said, and the comment will have nothing to do with them or their past experiences, but you know, with the media the way it is, it's going to make everybody just freak out because someone took it a certain way.
That's a very good point. I was just talking with a couple of friends in the States about this, and they told me, Nazim, you left in 1992 to move to Europe, to Italy. It's all really changed here. And I remember when I was a kid and I was working in the States and finishing university, that I had friends that we had different opinions, and you could discuss them and talk about them, and everybody was like, yeah, that's... Now it's becoming kind of like some people just don't want to bring up certain subjects, he tells me, my friends tell me, because it becomes a little bit, you know, yeah, it's like the territory that you can't go into. And I'm a bit surprised because, you know, I remember it was a little bit different years ago. Going back to what Ammon's saying about the issue that you were talking about, Bollywood and Hollywood and this gender. You know what? It's one of the things that really I agree with you 100% in the sense that when you travel and you go to other parts outside of the world and you come back home, you're like, wow, I really saw things not in that sort of globalized imagery of whatever it is. Even also Italy, because people when they come to Italy, they have the impression that it's like you know, it's all under the Tuscan sun and this and that. And then they see other things. It's like, wow, you know, it's totally, and they like things, and so the whole thing of going away from that, kind of like, okay, we're going to make a little easy package so you can understand how Greece is, or you can understand how Turkey is, or Spain, or this and that. That you said to yourself, well, it's kind of like going to Disney World, you know. And those are the things that when you travel and you come back, you say, no, it's not like that yet. But sometimes in certain areas, it becomes very much so that you're like, oh, you know, for example, my mom's lived in New York for quite a long time. She moved to Istanbul, back to Istanbul. She's from Istanbul. She moved back there to be with her sister and stuff like that. She's 86 years old. And she said to me, oh, you know, and I went to Istanbul about 10 years ago, and very interesting. Now they're modernizing the whole place. They're tearing everything down. They're big buildings, you know, so fashion houses and Versailles, you know, all the. And she's like, you know, this is they're modern. And I'm going, yeah, Mom, but in a certain way, it's kind of sad because they're kind of like destroying a historical context that you probably have in Istanbul, like you have in Athens, like you have in other parts of the world, because, you know, we got to make this formula of, like, you know, simplifying things in a certain way. That's my two takes on going back to what you were talking about.
I think one of the things that it needs saying, but one of the things that probably really enhances it, Anna, and this goes for you too, Kristin, is, do you know what's really attractive in a woman? It's a woman who doesn't know how damn attractive she is. And both of you are stellar examples of that, and it does. It's a thing. Is there a man on this panel who does not agree that the most attractive women are the ones who just don't seem to be aware of it, they don't seem to notice it?
It's so sweet of you. Thank you. I'm sure Kristin and I are blushing. Thank you.
Ammon, I agree with you, but it's because I have a chance with her.
Wait, what?
Yeah, if you have a chance with her, then that makes her attractive. Is that what you're saying?
If she doesn't realise she's out of his league, is that about it? Oh, the internet has shut him down. Obviously, female ISP.
I like that. That was funny.
Well, we are coming to the end of the show, so I am reluctantly going to have to take last thoughts from everybody, and I'll take it left to right as I see it. So let's start with Anna. What are you up to this coming week, and anything else you'd like to say before we go?
Oh, I just, catching up. I am trying to learn more about LinkedIn. That's my challenge for the week, and everything I can about it. I know Mark is a big fan, and he kind of steered me that way. Just exploring the possibilities of traffic and how to get it, what to do, what not to do. So I'm kind of excited about that. I'm a little geeky about traffic generation. It kind of has to, when I do it, I have to break it down almost into mechanical portions, and how can I perfect it, how can I make it better. So I'm kind of excited about that. Other than that, Christmas is coming. We're going to Tahoe to ski, or I should say my husband and my daughter are going to ski. I'm just going to sit in front of the fireplace with a glass of wine. So, yeah, but always good things. So thank you for having me here. Really enjoy the Bogus Hangout, and definitely see the huge benefit behind just talking. We need to do more of that.
Yeah, definitely. John Moore, what are you up to this week? And don't forget to unmute.
First I have to unmute myself, so I can talk. Well, right now I thought that December was going to be nice and quiet, and I was going to get all these little projects that I have been collecting, and so far it hasn't worked out that way. I've just been busier than a one-armed paper hanger, I mean, that's good. I'm not complaining or anything. It's just that I was just hoping for this free December where I could do all these little projects that I've got lined up. I think somebody was talking about the closet or something in one of the threads, and I really related to that. I mean, I've got a closet that's just spilling out of all the things that I need to get to, And so I'll try not to get too hung up about that, and it's just going to be what it is, and I'm going to enjoy it. And next weekend we're going to get our tree, and we're cutting firewood, and it's raining. I mean, how good can it be? So
excellent.
There you go.
Kristin.
I'm totally excited that tomorrow, right, that we're going to be talking about superhero movies. So that's going to be fun. I'm not a full code breaker. I'm like a little mini-me code breaker. I'm Ammon's right hand or left hand. I don't ever remember which. So I'm excited about that. And then I'm excited also because we're going to be going on Network Roundtable pretty soon, where you get to be my sidekick. So a lot of superhero stuff going on.
Yeah. The Code Breakers show is the Pandemic Code HOA. This is the one where we look at why things go viral, what makes certain things successful. And tomorrow, Phil Boyer, myself, and Kristin are talking about superheroes. Why has that genre just gone so big in the past few years? Even though it's kind of bubbled under, those are early Superman movies were in black and white. In the 50s. Superman movies were out. Why has it suddenly been that superhero stuff's gone big? Join us tomorrow to find out on that one. Mark, what are you up to this week?
Well, I hate to bring a slightly more somber note to everybody's weeks, but it's kind of an interesting milestone for me. On Thursday, I will be going for my 4th year post-cancer treatment checkup. I had 4 years ago went through rectal cancer treatment, and been clean and clear. But each year, now it's actually twice a year. But this is the annual one. Go for a full day. They poke, they prod, and at the end of the day, I hear if I'm still good. 1 more year for my type of cancer, 5 years. So a year from now, if all is well, then statistically, I'm kind of back in the general population, and I can go back to just regular physicals like everybody else. I always have to be, diligent and vigilant. But so, it's always a day. I don't think much about my cancer anymore, other than when this comes around, and it's a long day, just waiting for the doctor to walk in at the end. Other than that, a lot of writing. I'm trying to get a lot of content pumped out these weeks. So. That's why I haven't been as much on Google Plus recently. Just writing.
Yeah, well, on behalf of everyone on this panel and everyone watching, we're all there with you. So when you've pulled down your trousers and bent over, just think of that. We're all there with you.
that's the only moment I don't want to be thinking about that.
Nazim.
How can I follow that? No, basically I'm quite busy. In fact, I've been a little bit off Google Plus because client deadlines. Everybody wants their eShop or websites up for Christmas for some strange reason. And but apart from that, we're getting ready for Kazakiezi. We are trying to do 2 Kazakiezi live hangouts. One at the market, but it's been torrentially raining here in Italy. So a market in the rain would not be a lot of fun to show people. And I'm going to be joining Aslan and Chef Dennis next week for a Christmas show about Italian Christmas traditions. Always having fun and writing up new articles for Kazakiezi, promoting Italy from the point of view of me and my wife here in Italy.
Well, Manolis has dropped out and not been able to get back in. Manolis, just put your stuff, let us know what you're doing in the comments. Everyone, stick in what you're doing in the next week in the comments. We've got plenty of space there. So let us know what you're doing. Everyone share. Let's extend this conversation to everyone. From us this week, thank you so much to everyone that joined us, everyone in the comments that were pouring in, and see you for another Bogus Hangout next week. Thanks a lot, everyone. Take care.
Wow.